How many of you took Econ 101 or 201? Show of hands. You've all had it. Oh, all right. What's a recession?
Hey, you don't remember.
It's right there in the glossary section of your textbook.
No, don't flip it. You only know when you're in one, right? You don't know how to define it, but you know when it hits. So it's important to note that the BEA does not declare periods of recession. That responsibility rests with the National Bureau of Economic Research, the NBER. A lot of Nobel laureates come out of the NBER. The common sort of street definition is we talk about 2 successive periods of declining GDP. We see that GDP number decreasing 2 quarters in a row, we know we're in a recession. That is not the official definition, however. Here's what the NBER says. Ready? I want you to write this down. No, just kidding. Don't bother writing this down. The NBER says that a recession is defined as a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, lasting more than a few months, normally visible in real GDP, real income, employment, industrial production, and wholesale retail sales. Basically, they're saying our job is really complex and you can't figure out what we do and just let us do it. But if you look at the graph, those shaded periods of recession just happen to correspond with 2 successive periods of GDP decline. So, so why does that matter? Whoops. Why does that matter? Eventually, you're going to be working, right? School will come to an end. You'll take a job, you'll own a business, you'll work for a policy shop, you'll be consulting, and people are going to want to know, what's the right time for me to buy new equipment? What's the right time for me to hire workers? What's the right time for me to decide to expand my location? What's the right time to try and attract investment into our state, county, city? Your first easiest answer is to look at the GDP. What's it doing? Are you in growth or are you in decline? How long have you been in growth or decline? This is a very top-level number that gives you a sense of the economic health of this country. And a number that isn't well understood, although a lot of people have heard of GDP, they don't necessarily know what it is or what it means. So if you can get a handle on that, you've got a first resource for sort of thinking about business decisions. GDP is in fact used extensively in policymaking here in the country. A lot of academic research and, as I just mentioned, business decisions. GDP is a great way of saying, how are we doing before you start implementing policy? And it's also a great way of saying, how effective was that policy? Because you see its impact on GDP and you can decide. So that's why I say we're sort of the scorekeepers here in the economic system. That's all I want to say about GDP, GDI, unless you have any questions.